Hi everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the concept of arrays. We have defined what is meant by an array, how an array can be implemented, how many types of arrays are there. We discussed that an array is the name given to a memory location which can store more than one value of the same type. We have discussed there are two types of arrays. One is one-dimensional array and second one is two-dimensional arrays, or we call it as multi-dimensional arrays. We have seen how to initialize a one-dimensional array and how many ways are there to initialize an array. Initialization is nothing but the process of assigning the values to an array. There are four methods that we have seen to initialize the array. Directly we can initialize, or from the keyboard you can read the elements into one-dimensional array or two-dimensional array. And another important thing is when we declare an array as global, then the default values of an array becomes 0. Or when you declare an array of static, again the default values are 0. But when you define an array within the function, that is comes under automatic storage class, so in that case the array is going to take the garbage values. In today's session we will discuss how to implement single dimensional arrays. So let us see the discussion by writing C programs using Visual Studio Code. Let us go to Visual Studio Code. Now go to new file. I'm taking new file. The new file name I'm giving as arrays.c. So I'm going to write the program to implement single. I said that one dimensional array is also known as single dimensional array. Single dimensional arrays, right? Just we discussed that what happens or what are the initial values when you declare the array as global. Now what I'm going to do is I'm writing the program from hash include stdio.h. After writing this, I'm declaring a global array integer a of, you give some dimension, the size dimension is called size, integer a of 10. So whenever I say integer a of 10, how many locations are reserved? 10 locations are reserved from A0 to A9, right? So at a time, we are going to read the elements into 10 memory locations. If you use one scanf is going to read the value into only one memory location. So we have to repeat the scanf statement 10 times. So to read the elements into an array, we are going to use basically for loop. We are using the for loop to repeat the scanf statement multiple times. Now I'm writing integer main opening brace. Here what I'm going to do is just I'm going to print the default values of an array. So for that, first to declare a variable integer I. Why I'm declaring the variable integer I? Why? Because I'm going to use the concept of for loop. So I'm writing for I equals to 0 and I is less than 10. You write I is less than 10 and you write I plus plus. Okay, after this, just I'm writing printf percentage d double quotes close. Here I'm writing a of I. A of I. So last statement I'm writing is return 0. If you observe this program, this is the hash include stdio.h. You know, this is the preprocess statement, and this is integer a of 10. Global declaration of an array. Global declaration of an array. Single dimensional array, right? Now, I didn't initialize anything to array a of 10. So I want to print what would be the default values of the global array a of 10. We will see. Okay, now to move the cursor to the next line, I'm writing /n. Here I said that the default values are zeros. So 0, I'm writing that I equals to 0. 0 is less than 10, yes. So 0 to 9, the locations are reserved. Already we have seen in the previous classes. So here we are printing printf percentage d is the value of a of 0, means first default value of a of 0. Next I plus plus 1 is less than 10, again second a of 1. So we will see what would be the output of this program. Now I think you will get all values as zeros. So let us run this program. I'm running this program. You observe the output. You see you are getting all zeros. At the bottom, when you observe this, you are getting all zeros. Okay, means the default values of a global array is zeros, are zeros, right? Now I'm going to do one thing. Just I'm going to copy this. I'm copying this. Control X. Now I'm going to write within the main. Control V. Within the main, I'm writing this. And in this case, this comes under local declaration. Local declaration. So what happens? We will see. I think you will get all garbage values. We will see. So what would be the output of this program? You see here, you are getting different values, right? So this is 61584777. Another value, unknown values, undefined. Okay, we can't expect what would be the output of the each and every location, right? These are the garbage values. So when you declare an array within the function, it indicates that the default storage class for this is auto. Though you didn't mention auto, the default storage class is automatic. So that's why it is printing all garbage values. Now, before this int a of 10, I'm writing like this static. Now, which comes under static storage class. Already I said that the static storage class default values are zeros. Global variables are nothing but external storage class variables. Those values are also by default 0. Now, when you write static, again you are going to get the default values as zeros. So now we will see whether we are getting zeros or not. You see, you are getting zeros. I think you understand the difference. The default values of an array are zeros when you declare as global or external. Another one is static. But whenever you declare an array within the function which comes under automatic storage class, and it is going to print the garbage values. So this is the clarification I want to give to you, right? After this, what you do is, so you know how to print the elements into an array and how to read and how to print the elements. Simple. So the method of reading into a single dimensional array and printing those elements I am going to implement. Now the program is, what is the program I am going to write? Program to read the elements into 1D array and display the same. And I'm writing like this and display the same. Just I'm reading and printing, right? That's all. Okay. Now hash includes stdio.h integer main. Now I'm going to write the array within the main integer a. You can take any array. So I'm taking 10. You can take any dimension or size. Now we need a loop, so that's why I'm using integer I. Now you say printf, enter the elements into, I'm writing 1D array, right? I'm going to display the message that enter the elements into one dimensional array, and you write slash n. After printing the message enter the elements into one dimensional array, you have to read how many elements, any number of elements, but the size or the number of elements must be less than or equals to 10. So for that, what you write for, okay, you write I equals to 0 and I is less than 10, I plus plus, right? Next you write scanf percentage d double quotes close comma ampersand. You have to mention ampersand of a of I, right? So this is the way of reading the elements, right? Now you have to print those elements, right? Just read and print. Now you write printf to print the output in a clear understanding manner. What I'm going to say is printf the given elements are, you write the given elements, are, you write slash and double quotes close, right? Again, what you do is you have to write again for loop for I equals to 0 and I is less than 10, I plus plus, right? Now you write just printf percentage, better to write percentage 2d. Why? Because you will get space a of I, right? Now last you write return 0. So this is a simple program, Control S. Now I'm going to run it, whether we are going to get the correct output or not. Now you run it. I'm running this program. You see at the bottom it is asking enter the elements into one-dimensional array. Enter the elements. How many elements you have to enter? 10 elements, right? For example, I'm writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Any elements, not only in sequence order, you can give any number of elements in any order. Last element I'm giving is 10. See, after giving 10, what it is going to do? The given elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 10, right? But we didn't get space. Why? Because it is a two-digit number. So that's why in the printf statement I mentioned only 2D, means we are going to get only two spaces. If you want to get more number of spaces, you can write 2D, 3D, right? Instead of writing 3D, you can also use /t, right? But in a single line, it is going to print the elements. So if you want to print the elements line by line, then you have to write the slash and character. Okay. So here in after writing percentage 2D, instead of writing percentage, if you want to print in the next line, just you write /n here. That's all. So I will explain the execution part of this one-dimensional array, how to read the elements into one-dimensional array and printing those elements. So whenever you say, actually everybody knows, or we know that in as per the previous classes, the execution starts from the main. Okay. Now, whenever you say integer a of 10, so as I said, the memory representation of one-dimensional array, 10 memory locations are reserved, right? 10, a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, finally a of how much? A of 9. So reservation is done, and how much memory is allocated? If an integer takes 4 bytes, 40 bytes of memory is reserved, right? Now integer I for I equals to how much memory is allocated for I? 4 bytes. Now when we execute printf statement, what it is going to ask? It says enter the elements into one dimensional array. Now, so after printing these elements, what we are going to do from the keyboard? In the keyboard, we are going to press enter. So when you we are going to press 1, after that enter, right? When you press 1, what happened? I equals to 0 and 0 is less than or equals less than 10. Yes. Not less than or equals to less than 10. Yes. Now scanf statement is executed. It reads the value. Which value you have pressed first? 1. Not only 1, you can press any and you can enter any number. That 1 must be read into which location? First location is a of 0. Okay. To store the value into a of 0, you should know the address. So that's why you are mentioning the address here. Okay. Now, into which memory location we are going to write the value 1? Into a of 0. So here semicolon is there. When semicolon is there, what happened? The control is passed to I plus plus. Right? If you want to write opening brace and closing brace here, you can write opening brace. Right? Okay. Now, after scanf, you can write closing brace, so that it is very clear to understand. If there are no opening brace and closing brace, you can get a confusion that how the cursor is moving to I plus plus. So though you didn't write opening brace and closing brace, when there is only one statement under for loop, no need of writing opening brace and closing brace. So here it directly goes to I plus plus, I value becomes 1, 1 is less than 10. Yes, again scanf statement. Now we are reading the second value into address of a of 1. Like that, this loop is repeated how many times? 10 times. So when the I value becomes 10, 10 is less than 10, no, the condition is false and the scanf statement does not execute, and the control is passed to this printf statement. The given elements are like it that it is going to print. See, in arrays, so if you want to store, you need for loop. If you want to retrieve the elements from the array, again you want for loop. If you want to manipulate the data values in an array, again you need for loop. So for retrieving and for storing, for manipulation, whatever you want to do in arrays, we need the concept of loops. The requirement of for loop is very, very important while using the concept of arrays. Now we have entered the elements, 10 elements. After that, if you want to print again, go to first location to last location. For I equals to 0, 0 less than, just here we are printing. This is repeated 10 times and we are going to print the elements whatever we have read into an array. See, the important concept, another word we are using in arrays is traversal. What do you mean by traversal? The process of accessing the elements, how we are accessing the elements from beginning to end or from the end to beginning. This kind of process for retrieving the elements is nothing but traversal. in the last class I said that an array is nothing but a data structure. The data structure is defined as a structure how the elements could be organized and the elements could be stored. That is very, very important. Now, this is a simple program to read the elements into one-dimensional array and to print those elements. See, instead of writing this scanf, you can also directly initialize the values, right? So, what I said in the last class, now you can directly you say integer a of 10 equals to how many elements you want to enter. 10 elements you can write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like this also you can enter the elements, right? So no need of writing integer. So printf, okay, directly you can delete this, right? Directly I am assigning the values in the program. See, whenever you execute this program any number of times, the output is only 1 to 10. You can't expect the different values, and different values could not be printed. Why? Because in the program itself you are printing the values like this, right? So if I execute, same output I'm going to get. You see here, same output I'm going to. So this is another way of assigning the values, initializing an array, right? Different way. So here another method I'm writing like this. I don't mention the size, just I'm removing the size. When you remove the size here, the default length of array A is 10. If you give, for example, 11, it is going to print store 11. Here the length is not the length, the left side, the dimension is totally depends upon the number of entered values in the right side. If the number of elements in the right side is 15, the dimension is 15. So in this case, when you enter 11 elements here, you have to change this to 11. Right? Now run it. When you run it, you are going to print all the elements. This is also valid, right? 11. So another method you can also write like this. Already we said. So here you can say a of 0, a of 0 equals to 1, right? So next a of 0 equals to 1. Next a of 1 equals to 2. This is also you can use, but this is waste of time. This is not preferred method. Please don't use this method. Okay, just don't prefer this method. The good method is better to read the elements from the keyboard. Better to use for loop. Okay, that is the best logic, right? So these are the simple concept how to initialize and how to read the elements from the keyboard and display the same elements. Now, next, if you want to print the elements in a reverse order, what you do is just you have to change the condition in reverse. For example, you have entered the elements from 1 to 10. If you want to print the elements from 10 to 1, just you here you give the index here is 1 to 10. Here you write first to 10 and change the condition that I is greater than or equals to I is greater than or equals to 1, and here you say I minus minus. So in this case, what happened? The traversal is from end to beginning. That is the logic, right? You can print the elements from last to first also. Now, next, what I'm going to do is in the next program, I'm going to read the elements into one-dimensional array, and I want to print the sum of those elements, or I can say we will do one thing. I'm going to read the elements, 10 elements into array, and we are going to find out the sum of even numbers as well as the sum of odd numbers. Let us see that program. Now, what I'm going to write is, okay, sum of even numbers. Just I'm going to do some manipulation program to read the elements into one-dimensional array and print the sum of even numbers and odd numbers. Okay, right. This is the simple program. So integer a of 10. See, one another important thing is here, whenever you say 10, always the dimension is 10. Okay. Now instead of writing this 10, and we can also use another method like this. Before the main, just I'm writing like this, hash define hash define, like this you can say capital N, hash define N. So in this case, every time saying 10 is not meaningful, you can write here N. That's all. Now whenever you are, you can write small n also you can take, anything you can take, right? So if you take capital N, you can write capital N, but here if you hash define capital N, how much size we want? 10. I'm writing 10 here. So this N is nothing but the literal here, constant. So hash define N, wherever I write N indicates it's not a variable. So N itself replaced with 10. N is literal here, okay? So integer A of N indicates A of 10. Now, after that, here we are saying that printf enter the number of elements, number of elements. In this case, we are going to read scanf percentage d. Number of elements, you can take anything. Number of elements, n I'm writing, okay? See here, take a variable, another variable. Here you take another variable n. Enter. If this small n must be less than or equals to capital N, right? Now printf double quotes, enter the elements into 1D array, okay? 1D array slash n double quotes close. Okay, now you write again for to read the elements again, I equals to 0 and I is less than n, I plus plus. Okay, where small n is less than or equals to n, less than n, I is less than n, I plus plus. Now you write scanf percentage d double quotes close comma ampersand n, sorry, ampersand a of I, right? Now, so we are reading the elements, right? After reading the elements into one dimensional array, what you do? You have to retrieve one element one by one, each element from the array. Take the first element and you check it whether it is even or odd. If it is even, you add in another some variable. If it is odd, you go for another some variable. So better to take the variables called esum equals to 0, comma osum means odd sum equals to 0. I'm taking two variables, esum and even sum, and osum means odd sum. So we want to add the value to some variable so that the result is remains same. So what is the additive inverse? We are taking 0. Okay. Now here, after reading the elements, what we are going to do is, means we have read the elements into one dimensional array. After storing the elements into one dimensional array, what you do is, from the beginning you pick up element by element. First you pick up the first element and you check it whether even or not. So to retrieve that elements also we need for loop. So again you write for I equals to 0 and I is less than n, I plus plus. Okay, now opening brace. In this block, what you do is, you do one thing. First you check if check the first condition, a of I, take the first element, means a of I value how much? 0 here. Here you keep semicolon. If a of I divisible by, what is the symbol you have to use? Modular division by 2 and it remainder equals to 0. If the first element is divisible by 2 and the remainder is 0, then what you have to do? It is the odd number, right? You add that first number to sum so that the result is remains the same. What is that? Oh, even number, esum. Esum equals to esum plus a of I, right? That's all. Else what you have to do? Else osum. If it is not true, then odd number, right? Osum equals to osum plus a of I. That's all, right? So this is what you have to do within the for loop. Now, if you printf statement within the for loop, every time it is going to print esum is no. So we don't want to print repeatedly. We want only the final value of eSum or OSum. For that, what you do is, after the for loop, you write printf even sum, even number sum, even numbers sum is, you write percentage d, now slash n, you write here eSum, right, semicolon. Now you write printf, you write odd numbers sum is percentage d slash n, and okay, last statement you write return 0 closing brace. So this is the program. Okay, already it is there, but I'm going to remove it, right? So this is a simple program to read the elements into one-dimensional array, and we are retrieving the elements one by one from the array, and we are checking whether it is even number. If it is even, we are adding to eSum. If it is odd, we are adding into OSum. So we'll see. See here, when n value 10, here n means a of 10, the dimension is a of 10. Okay. Now here you are reading small n. This small n must be less than or equals to 10. Okay. That you remember. If any value you can give 5, 0 to 5, how much? 0 to less than 5, 4 elements, 5 elements. That we will see. We will run it. You see, enter the number of elements. Here, the maximum number of elements you have to give only 10. Less than 10 also you can give. For example, I am giving 10. Enter the number of elements 10. Now it is waiting for the 10 elements. We are getting some error. What is that error? Arrays.c. Just we'll see. Some awesome. Okay, here was ampersand is missed. Sorry. So ampersand here we have missed here. Control S. Now you again run it. Errors are there. We'll see here. We will check the errors one by one. Enter AI. We will check any errors are there. So we'll see the program. Here we have missed percentage D here. Here you write percentage D. Okay. Now we will run the program once again. You run it. Now it is asking enter the number of elements. Here the number of elements may be 10 or less than or equals 10. You give 10, right? So 10 is nothing but small n value. Small n value is less than or equals to capital N. Now it is asking enter the elements into one-dimensional array. I'm giving like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in 1 to 10 numbers, it is going to find out the even number sum as well as odd number sum. You see, even number sum is 30 and odd number sum is 25, total 55. So this is the output of the program. So with this, I'm going to close the session. Thank you for watching.